Hey guys, welcome back to another Tech and Toys vlog. Today we're talking about audio. Going to be a little bit different kind of a review. I'm not going to tell you which one's better as far as microphones, because it's not about that. It's about which one's best for you and the story you're trying to tell. More after the intro, coming up next. Okay guys, welcome back. It is Thursday, which means it's time for another Tech and Toys video. As always, thank you guys so much for stopping by the channel. Thank you for all the support and all the love. If you haven't already, or maybe it's your first time in, please hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit the bell next to it so that you're notified every time I upload new content. Want to follow me across social media? You can. It's at the Steve Freeman across all of social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and now Twitch. Today, guys, we're going to talk about audio. Now, as some of you may know, some of you may not know if you're new to the channel, I love tech, and I'm very passionate about tech. I love it. I love cameras. I love gaming. I love computers. I love it all. But that's not exactly my background or how I make my living. I make my living as a songwriter and a record producer. So to me, audio is really of the utmost importance. When I'm working either with an independent artist or a major artist, when I get them in the vocal booth in my studio, the quality of that audio is the most important thing to me. So when I decided that I was going to launch the YouTube channel and talk about music business and then branch out a little bit and talk about the tech that I love and the stuff that I own that I buy and give you some real world reviews on it, audio was very important to me. As always, I spent a lot of time on YouTube looking around at what other people recommend. What are other people using? Let me hear examples. And it's such a valuable resource to be able to go to other channels and see and hear what other people think in real world experience. So that's what I did. And I logged tons of time on YouTube, as I'm sure you have, trying to find out what was going to be the best solution for audio because it's so important to me. I landed on a couple different options. First thing I did was I bought the Rode Videomicro. I looked at the VideoMic Pro, I looked at the Sennheiser line, I looked at the other Rode line. Everybody, it seems, makes a video mic now because of the popularity of YouTube and vlogging and all this thing. Everybody's getting into this world. I watched some reviews on the Videomicro and I absolutely loved it. But I also have to say that one of the most important things when you're picking a mic for your vlog or your YouTube channel or your business, if you're going out and doing corporate videos or interviews and things like that, is make sure that you have an audio solution that matches your focal length of your lens. And here's what I mean by that. If you're going to be doing vlogging, then like my initial setup that I got was the Sony a6500 and the Sony 10 to 18 millimeter wide angle lens. That means that I can basically have that camera 1 foot to up to 3 feet away from me, and the Videomicro is amazing. It does great for capturing that audio from that distance, that focal length distance, to be able to have that 10 millimeter to 18 millimeter, where if you're holding the camera and you've got a GorillaPod or something, you're holding it out, that is going to capture that audio perfectly for you for that focal length. Now, you run into a little bit of a problem when you're going to go beyond that 3 feet barrier. If, take for example right now, I'm shooting on the new Sony a7 III, and the lens that I'm using is the Sony Zeiss 55 millimeter f1.8. Well, here's the thing. That camera is 8 feet away from me right now. So if I were using the Rode Videomicro, you wouldn't be able to hear me very well at all. The sound would sound like we were in a hollow room somewhere, and you would even get latency problems because of the distance between where the microphone is and where I am, and the distance it takes for my voice to get from here to that microphone. So I went back to YouTube and I started looking around and looking at shotgun microphones, because I have shotgun microphones in my recording studio that we use. Condenser microphones, looking at every solution possible. And what I started finding out, a lot of people are using outboard. A lot of people are recording to something, taking like a, because it's XLR, going from an outboard microphone, either a condenser microphone or a shotgun microphone or something that's XLR based or that needs phantom power, into something like the Zoom H4, H5. I think now there's an H6. I mean, I bought this thing a while back. But recording your audio separately from your video and then syncing them up in post. Now, this is where I've got to be honest and tell a little bit about myself. I love editing video. I love it. That's why I became so passionate about it in the beginning, and how music kind of led into my film career and creating videos and even launching this channel. And so as I was looking at that, I thought, okay, I don't want anything to get in the way of me being able to shoot the videos that I want to shoot, get them into the computer and be able to edit them efficiently and quickly, because for me, a lot of the technical stuff tends to bog me down. And when I get bogged down, I get frustrated. And when I get frustrated, then I don't want to do a damn thing. So I thought, okay, that's another step in the process to sync the audio. And I know now it's a lot quicker, but it's another step. I wanted to get straight from importing the footage into editing the video and be a part of the creative process, because I'm a creative. And that's what brings the enjoyment for all this for me. So when I saw that, okay, recording externally and then syncing in post, that's another step. That's not creative. That's like having to fine tune and get in there and line those up. And I didn't want to do that. So for me, I didn't want to record externally. And actually, I bought this thing and I've never used it. I've never used it. I bought it 6 months ago and I turned it on for the first time the other day because I bought this. This is the Sennheiser AVX wireless lavalier mic system. Now, because I've started with the new camera, the Sony a7 III, and the 55mm lens, meaning that the camera has to be much further away from me than this camera with this microphone setup, I wanted something that it didn't matter. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe I will try recording audio externally. So my plan was to go from the Sennheiser AVX into the Zoom H4n Pro and then sync them in post to get the quality. Well, one thing I forgot when I ordered the Sennheiser AVX-ME2 wireless lav mic was that it comes with the adapter that goes in the XLR side of the transmitter, and then it also has the 1/4 or 1/8 inch that goes directly into the camera. So I thought, okay, well, let's give this a shot. And so I did, and I was blown away at the audio quality of going straight from the AVX into the Sony a7 III. And there again, allowing me to have that seamless audio all in one track together, already synced. Because I've said in other videos, I don't record internally to the camera. I actually come out of the a7 III into a Atomos Ninja Flame and record externally so that I can do the 422 10-bit. But what I found was that, of course, that HDMI connection carries the audio as well. So as I run that audio from the AVX into the camera, the HDMI takes it up to the Atomos and it sounds phenomenal. I have to do very little tweaking when it comes to the audio now. Plus, I can get up, I can move around, I can go back there if I want, I can go over there. I have plans to go wireless so I can actually walk around and do some other things and utilize the A6500 a little bit more. But it's seamless. But here's one thing I want to talk about, because I think you need to know. If you are considering going to something like the Sennheiser AVX-ME2 wireless lavalier setup, the preamps in the a7 III are extremely hot. So the first time I sat down to do a video, I was looking at the readout, and I sat down and I was looking at the monitor up here, and I was talking very softly just in my normal voice, and I noticed that the audio was pegged all the way over. So I immediately went to the camera and it was set at 26, which I don't know if that's a standard or what it comes, because I had never changed it. But it was just pegging out the audio, and you could hear it hitting the preamp so hard. And I thought, okay, so I need to go in and I need to lower those settings. So I lowered it back down to like 15, still too hot. Lowered it down to 10, it was still too hot. Lowered it down to 5, it was still too hot. And the sweet spot I found was 2. So if you're running the Sony system, either the A6500, A6300, pretty much anything in the Alpha line, but especially the A7 III, because that's what I have. The first thing you're going to want to do when you are using any of these microphones is go into your menu settings and take that input all the way down to 1 or 2. The preamps, now I will say this, the preamp in the A7 III is a lot hotter than in the A6500. I guess it's an upgrade in the preamp or whatever, but it's going to be very important for the first thing you do before you get set up and you do a video and then you're in post-production and you're in editing and all your audio is too hot. Make sure you do that if you're using the Sony Alpha line. Jack that mic input all the way down to 1 or 2 and you'll be fine. Now, I want to do a couple comparisons for you. We know what this sounds like right now. I am using right now the wireless lav mic, the Sennheiser AVX-ME2. Now, there's also a couple different versions of this. This microphone right here, I think, was $700. I think the Videomicro was $60 or $70. I absolutely love the Sennheiser. I do. I love Sennheiser. I have a ton of Sennheiser mics in my recording studio. When I cut drums, I always use Sennheiser 421s, just something that I've always loved. I love their products, love their microphones. So when I looked at this system, I was already familiar with the brand. I was familiar with the quality, and I knew that it would be good. Now, I have to admit, I had no idea it was going to be as good as it was. So the setup that we're talking about right now, the camera is about 7.5 feet, almost 8 feet from where we are right now. And because of the wireless lav mic going straight into the camera, the audio is perfect. It's crystal clear. And I can do anything I want. I can back up, I can go over here, I can go over here, I can even get up and I can walk around and the audio level never changes, nothing ever changes. I can sit back down and the levels don't change. I love that. You can't do that with this setup. Now, like I was talking before, you want to match your choice of microphone with your focal length. So if I'm going to do a vlog, and I'm not going to use this setup right here, and let's say I've got this 10-18 lens on the Sony a6500, I'm going to have this camera a lot closer to me than what I am right here, or especially if I'm out somewhere doing a vlog, or I'm in the car, or I'm doing something like that. Most of the time you're going to have that camera and you're going to have it at arm's length and you're going to have it out like here and you're going to be holding it and you've got that wide angle lens so that you know it's capturing all of you. And you may not want to have a wireless setup because it is, you know, you've got it taped in here. I've got it taped right now underneath my shirt, which, by the way, a lot of people say you shouldn't do that because it makes the audio quality horrible. Maybe on some lav mics, not on this one. I've got it taped right here with a piece of clothing tape, and it works perfectly. It works awesome, as a matter of fact. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. In this sort of situation right here in vlogging, or when you're going to have the camera anywhere close to you out walking around, maybe out in public somewhere, you're going to want that audio source to be fairly close to you, and you want it to pick up great. In that case, like this, I've got a small rig case on here. I've now got this camera set up pretty much as my slow motion camera. It's on 120 frames per second all the time. So it's kind of my B-roll camera now, but I also do use it when I go out and I do things and I'll vlog out in public. I've got other things that I set up on this rig. I've got another external monitor. I've got other things. So adding a wireless transmitter and then also having to remember to wear the receiver and everything else, it makes the camera bulky, which makes it, you don't want to be out in public with a bulky camera. It's bad enough carrying around something like this or having the Joby Gorilla Pod. You already feel like an asshole and an idiot most of the time anyway, and people look at you funny. So the smaller your rig can be, the better. You may not want to have all of that set up, and then you've got the wireless transmitter and receiver and all that. So you want something small, and the Rode Videomicro for that, I think, is perfect because it just works, and it's got extremely high quality audio, and it works for a vlogging setup, probably a lot better than like the lavalier wireless lav system would. So let's take a quick kind of comparison, if you will, between the two. Right now we're on the Sennheiser ME2 wireless lavalier system. I'm going to turn this camera on and I'm going to set it up right here at the edge of the desk, and I'm hoping that autofocus is on and everything, so hopefully this will work. Let me make sure that I am at the right focal length. I'll go ahead and set it to 18, and let's go ahead and worst record button placement of all time. If you haven't seen my Sony A7 III review, it's worth the $2,000 just for the new placement of the record button. If you haven't, I will put a link to that card, actually right up there, I think is where it'll go. You can check that out. But let's hit record on this and we will set it right out there. And actually, because of the camera running behind it, I can actually see the screen. So I know that I'm in focus, and now the camera is about, I don't know, a foot away from me. You are now listening to the audio from the Rode Videomicro. And you can tell there's a little bit of a difference, but it's still great quality audio. And if I spend, I don't know, 3 minutes inside some of the audio plugins in Premiere Pro, I can pretty much match this audio really damn close. I can get it so close it's not even funny. So I still think that if you're doing vlogging and that's your main thing, and you're predominantly going to have the camera within this focal length, you know, within 1.5 feet, 2.5 feet. I actually did do an interview, and I had not gotten the Sony A7 III yet, and I still had the A6500. I actually had to do an interview for an artist. It was a last-minute thing for an EPK. And I had this, when I got over to the studio to do it, they already had everything set up, so it was just me, and I ended up having to be like 4.5 feet away from the artist. And I went ahead and took my Sigma 30 millimeter 1.4, and I ended up using it for the interview so that I could get a little bit closer focal length, but I was still really worried about the audio and what it's going to sound like with the Videomicro being 4.5, 5 feet away from the subject. Now, luckily, we were in a recording studio control room, so it was already soundproof. It sounded amazing in there, so the acoustics were perfect, and because of that, the audio actually turned out really, really good. Now, I would not suggest, if you're being paid to go out and do an EPK or an interview, that you count on being able to use the Rode Videomicro and know that you're going to be 4.5, 5, 6 feet away from your subject. Don't ever count on that, because in any other real-world comparison, that is not going to work out very good at all. Matter of fact, let's do that right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this camera and I'm going to put it, the A6500, and I'm going to put it the same distance that the A7 III is right now using the AVX wireless lav system from Sennheiser. So I'll fast forward this part and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Now what I've done is I have set the A6500 the exact same distance away as the Sony A7 III. So let's do a quick comparison. Right now you're hearing the Sennheiser AVX-ME2 wireless lav system. Now you're hearing the Rode Videomicro. See the difference? With using this lav system, the audio level never changes. But when you switch over to the Sony A6500, where we've got the Rode Videomicro plugged in, you can hear that echo, you can hear that hollow sound, and it's not that clear, transparent. It also starts to create a little bit of latency. So where the on-camera microphones that everybody's making now, whether it's Rode or Sennheiser or Sony, if you're going to have that focal length where you're vlogging or you're doing an interview setup or anything like that, and you're going to be 1.5 to 3 feet away, I highly recommend that you pick yourself up a Rode Videomicro. I actually tried the VideoMic Pro. I think the audio quality for what I do and the cameras that I have, there's no difference in quality between the VideoMic Pro and the VideoMicro. And so why spend $200, $300 when you can spend $60, $75 and it will do the trick every single time. Okay guys, so just to recap what I use, the Rode Videomicro when I'm in short distances or when I'm doing kind of a moving around vlog, or I'm in one of my cars or something like that, I will use the Videomicro just because I don't want to take the time to set this up. But for all the videos that you see, like here in the studio here or in the recording studio, 90% of the time I am using the Sennheiser AVX-ME2 wireless lavalier setup. I love it. It plugs straight into the camera and the audio sounds great because you've been listening to it over my last 3 vlogs. So I love it. That's what I use. I encourage everybody, do your own research. Find out what works for you. Like I said at the beginning, it's not about which microphone is better than the other one. It's about which one's best for you and the story you're trying to tell and your workflow. Whatever sounds best to you, that's the best microphone. Because I want to tell you something right now, a little bit of an inside story here as far as microphones go. Don't be fooled by price. Don't let people always tell you or lead you to believe that the higher price something is, the better quality that it is. There's so many selections out right now on the market for microphones for video making and filmmaking and everything else, from $60 like the Rode Videomicro all the way up to thousands of dollars for like the Sennheiser 416 or 422 shotgun microphones, of which I have them and I love them. But let me tell you a secret. Most people don't know this, but it is 100% true. You know the album Thriller by Michael Jackson? Yeah, one of the highest selling records of all time. Every single vocal on that record was recorded with a $350 microphone, a Shure SM7B. If it was good enough for Michael Jackson, I think it's good enough for everybody else. So don't be deceived by price. Find what works for you. All right, guys, that will do it for today's Tech and Toys vlog. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, hit the little subscription button, and hit the bell next to it so that you're notified every time I upload new content. Because the way YouTube is working now, you will not be notified if you just hit subscribe. You have to click that little bell to make sure that you're notified every time I upload a new video. If you liked today's video, hit the thumbs up button one time. If you didn't like it, I don't know what to say. Just click the thumbs down button twice. That's the best thing I can say. As always, I love to hear what you guys are using. I'm on YouTube every day watching tutorials and review videos from all my favorite other YouTube tech channels like Brandon Washington and Kinotika and Linus Tech Tips and iJustine. Yeah, I'm just as much of a junkie on that stuff as you are. DSLR video shooter. Yeah, I watch everything Caleb does. And I've learned some amazing stuff and bought some of the products he reviews, like some of the Apurture lights and things like that. So I'm just as much of a junkie as you are. So I want to know what you're using. Tell me your experience. Leave a comment in the comment section below. If you want to contact me, it's easy. My email address and contact information is down below as well. Want to follow me across social media? It's at the Steve Freeman across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and now Twitch. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in today and checking out this video. I'll see you next Thursday for another Tech and Toys video. Until then, keep being creative. Keep pressing the boundaries. And there's nothing wrong with being independent. See you next time.